So joining us, Eric Decellieres. Welcome back to Air Sports News and Gordon Bennett News as well. Good to see you, my friend.
Yes, hi. Good to see you, Regan.
Where are you right now?
I am in France in my office, and there is a big thunderstorm outside, so it's not a proper time to fly.
We've got the same here in Montreal. We just got back.
Yeah.
And, it looks like it's going to come. So no flying. Have you been flying these last few weeks?
I made a hot air balloon flight last week with the kids, our kids, and it was a 1 hour, 50 minutes flight, so it was very funny. But no gas balloon flight since a long time, unfortunately.
How's the preparations going for you for Poland?
Preparation is going well because last year we all prepared for the Golden Bennett. Unfortunately, it was cancelled. So the preparation is the same. The pilot and co-pilot, the retrieving team, equipment, and everything was checked last year. So we have a meeting in 2 weeks' time for the final check of all documents. So everything is okay. We had a meeting with all the team for the command center about 1 month ago. So everything is running fine. We are all happy that the event will be run. Normally, everything should be okay. The event director, Bennett, sent us an email saying everything is on track, except if there is a big surprise early or mid-August in Poland with the COVID disease. But normally, it should be okay. So we are prepared as every year, but in a specific state of mind as if it was a 1 year sleeping time. Very surprising in our mind.
So tell everybody who you're flying with, Eric. Who's in the basket with you?
So I am flying with Bennett. Bennett has been flying since 10 years, like me, in gas balloon. We have the same teacher, the same instructor, who is Vincent Less, who won the Gordon Bennett 9 times. So he taught us how to fly, what is the spirit, the competition, preparation. So we have the same spirit, and we were very pleased to fly together in Montpellier 2 years ago. And we made a short flight. I mean, the short flight was only 46 hours, but we are very happy to fly again this year, despite the fact that Poland is very close to the Kaliningrad area, the Belarus, the Ukraine. And as you know, 2 weeks ago, there was big issue in Belarus, and we were discussing about that time. So we will see, but anyhow, the team is prepared, and the pilot and co-pilot are ready.
French balloons are a little bit different, Eric. Built at home.
Yeah. So in fact, I have a balloon, a gas balloon, which I bought in Germany about 6-7 years ago, which was one of the last native balloons in Germany. It was quite cheap, and we are used in France to fly the historical vintage style with the native balloon. But we also have a big chance is that Vincent Less is making his own balloons in 40 years. They are all made balloons. And the first competition balloon that he built is the Petit Prince, Le Petit Prince from Saint-Exupéry. He built it in 1996, specifically for the Gordon Bennett, that he won the first time in 97. And with this balloon, he won 6 times the Gordon Bennett. So he always improved regarding the weight, the strength, the performance of the balloon, the wide balloon, and so on. And since 2012, he built a second balloon, which is called Le Grain de Folie. And he won the Gordon Bennett 3 times with it as well. And this balloon is even lighter, even perfect again. He can fly more than 100 hours. That's good. And Benoit and myself are very happy to fly with the historical balloon, Le Petit Prince. Even if this balloon is 25 years old, it's a pure racer. We can make very nice performances with it. So these homemade balloons are strong for our heart because they are homemade by Vincent. We take care of them. We talk to the balloon. We live with the balloon. We feel the balloon. And we are very proud and very happy that he lent us the balloon, and he is also very happy to fly with one balloon in the Gordon Bennett and the second balloon flying as well. So in the last, I would say 6 years, he has these 2 balloons, French one and French balloon, flying in competition. So he's very happy of that. And for us, we are so lucky men to have that kind of balloon.
That is absolutely amazing. I think maybe the thunderstorm is affecting your Wi-Fi a little bit. The audio's there, but sometimes your picture is freezing. So
It's getting better now, but 2 minutes ago it was a big thunderstorm with big ice balls everywhere outside. It's everything wet outside. So
yeah.
Whatever.
What kind of conditions have you come across during Gordon Bennett, during your championships with gas ballooning? Have you found yourself in any really bad conditions?
I would say I am quite a young pilot. I flew only 300 hours in gas, which is a small experience, but I flew 3 times in the Gordon Bennett and once in the America's Challenge 2 years ago. And we crossed some conditions which were quite good in some ways. But I remember in 2018 from taking off from Bern, we had to fly 4,000 meters, 5,000 meters, and 6,000 meters, flight level 195. And I remember we flew in a big cloud, and it was night. We were at 6,000 meters. It was minus 13 degrees, and it was snowing for 3 or 4 hours. Wow. And it was, I would say, quite bad condition. It was okay. We were not freezing. We were concentrated on the computer. Everything was protected. And we were not thinking that we were 6,000 meter altitude with minus 13 degrees. We were a bit worried about the electronics, because with minus 13, the electronics don't like that. Does not like that. But anyhow, it was not too bad. The other condition was for my first Gordon Bennett, we had to land in midday in Sicilia, where we ended at 4th position. But it was something like 25, 30 knots with a lot of thermals. And we had to make a very speedy and tough landing. But it was a nice experience. And the last one, which was the most impressive, I mean, where I learned a lot, is our landing in North Canada with Vincent Les for the America's Challenge, where we finished at 2nd place, silver medal. And we were something like 60 kilometers an hour at 4,000 meters, and then 3,000, 2,000. And even close to the ground, we were 50 kilometers an hour.
Wow.
And we looked 360 degrees, and there were forests everywhere. Oh. And we landed at something like 40, 50 kilometers in the forest, with the basket touching the trees for something like 150 or 200 meters. Wow. And there was one track in the middle of the forest, and Vincent succeeded in landing the balloon and getting the envelope on the track.
Wow.
Perfect lesson. So that was quite an experience. And we were not stressed. I was not stressed because we were confident. I was just acting with ballasting the bags of sand and listening to his orders. And he was very concentrated on the track, the descent track and the approach. And for me, that's an experience because he told me, we are not going to land. We are going to make a tree landing. As we say in French, un arbrissage, landing in the trees, which is, I think, very common for experienced pilots like Vincent Les, Williamers, the Switzerland guys, because it's a good way to amortize and to slow down the balloon with the basket touching the trees and then getting a safe landing. We are attached in the basket. Even if we were on top of the trees, there was no very big risk. But that was quite an experience because when you look at the GPS and the speed, don't look at the figures. Just look at the outside. So that was some nice experience. But once we had some rain, but I have quite few experience comparatively to other competitors which have a lot of experience in the freeze, in the snow, in the sometimes close to thunderstorm, and so incredible. That's only during Gordon Bennett that we can be very close to tough conditions. Otherwise, when we fly for the pleasure, usually you look at a better met window.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the rules of Gordon Bennett, Eric. You're quite familiar with the rules and specific rules.
Yeah, the rules are interesting because they are the same since more than 100 years, since 1906. Everybody starts with the same lifting gas, hydrogen most of the time, sometimes helium, but hydrogen. And the volume of the balloon has to be maximum 1,000 cubic meters, plus minus 5%. So that's why most of the balloons are 1,020, 1,030 cubic meters, so that you can benefit from a bit 2-3% better performance. But everybody can fly with that. You can even fly with a 700 cubic meters balloon, but you will lose 300 kilos of sand, so you can't fly 50 or 60 hours. But everyone starts with the same thing, and you have to go the furthest point I would say, in straight line. Yeah. So even if you fly it like zigzag, that's the longest distance, and there's no limits in time. That's the most interesting. Wherever you fly 10 meter high or 6,000 meter high. So the rules is quite nice. You have to also respect some rules regarding equipment, safety equipment, survival equipment, like a life raft, oxygen for altitude, emergency, a radio, you've got a satellite telephone, and all that kind of stuff. And you can't land in between. So you take off, and the final landing point is your distance. So the rules are quite simple. That is, there are also some penalties because if you fly 1,000 kilometers, the 3% might mean that you may be decreased by 30 kilometers, which for the Gordon Bennett, I think is not enough, because for such long distance, the rules comes from the FIA rules.
Eric, can we just interrupt a second? That last rule you talked about, we lost it with the internet connection a little bit with the 3%, 5%. Can you just start that again? We lost it a little bit. Please start again.
Yeah. In hot air balloon competition and in gas balloon competition, you may be penalized up to 3%, if it's a minor infringement, 3% of the maximum distance. So that means you fly 1,000 kilometers, you make a minor infringement, you may have 30 kilometers infringement. Right. Which is not a lot regarding Gordon Bennett. And we have seen that 3 years ago, where the infringement made, I think it was by the Americans in 2018, 30 kilometers on 12, 13 or 1,400 kilometers might not. So that's one of the rules. But there is some stronger rules. If you infringe, like ATC matters, if you fly into a forbidden zone, you can be disqualified. And it happened something like 12 or 13 years ago, there was some infringement in Finland. Some of the pilots were disqualified because they had not respected the contact with ATC, the flight level with ATC, and then the event director can even be stronger regarding that. There is also some minor rules which are important, but you need to bring on board some water, because normally when you fly over cities or large cities, you are not allowed to throw sands on top of the windows or on the on top of people. So normally you throw the water if you are on top of these cities. So that's one of the rules.
It's really interesting, really interesting. I didn't know about that water and the sand over the cities areas. That's quite an interesting one.
Yeah, too. because you might be at very high altitude. So if you throw the sand, it can be everywhere, so it's small. But if you are flying low altitude and you throw 5 kilos of sand, it can go on the roof of a house or on the tables. So the rule is you throw water. But 99% of the time you fly over the countryside, and as the flight level is very stable, you may fly for a long time without throwing sand. So the water is just here to respect that kind of thing. But that means also that you may fly very high altitude by -10 or -15 degrees, and then the water can freeze. So normally the 5-liter bucket of water, you protect them from freezing. So, but you need to bring at least 10 liters of water. I think.
And the distance, Eric, is your actual landing distance. You could fly 10 kilometers further, but then come back before you land. It's not how far you've flown, it's the landing distance, isn't it?
It's the landing distance, because sometimes for strategic reasons or meteorological reasons, you may fly here and then the wind change and you may come back for 50 kilometers and then wait another 10 hours and fly back. This was the case when France won the Gordon Bennett, I think it was in 2013, where they came back in Portugal and then they come back further. And whatever the distance, if you're a bit further than the others, you win. Sometimes it's 10, 15 kilometers, but I think over all the Gordon Bennett history, if I remember well, the closest distance was the one from 1997, where the Americans landed at the border of Romania near the Black Sea, and then the French balloon, Vincent, just landed 300 meters behind them and won the gold medal. So it was 1,732 kilometers, 0.5 and 1,732 kilometers, 0.2. So the poor Americans saw the balloon land just behind them and won the medal. So unless the last balloon has landed, you never know who can win.
Yes. Yes.
Everything can happen all the time. So that's very, very funny. So sometimes there are 100, 200, 300 kilometers difference, and sometimes very short. That's quite funny.
What do you think about the possibilities with Turin? Eric, how are you feeling?
One thing is good, I think, for the event director is that he's got a 3-day slot to launch the event. So normally we fly. If the Met is good on Friday evening, we take off. If it's bad, you can take off on Saturday evening or Sunday evening. There has been a few years that now the slot is at least 2 or 3 evenings. In the past, 10 years ago, it was only 1 evening, which was a big issue for event director. Yes. But this year is particularly difficult because Torun is very close to the Kaliningrad zone. So if there is a southwest wind or a west wind going to Belarus or Ukraine, that can be a short flight of 200 or 300 kilometers for all the competitors. Under the sports point of view, that would not be interesting. The big advantage is that the event director, even if the weather is good on the Friday evening, may say, we are not launching for sports reason on the Friday evening, but we can launch on Saturday evening because the wind will be north and we can go to the Balkans or to Greece, or the wind can be south or southeast and going to Sweden and then Finland. And even if not good on Saturday, he may even decide to do it on the Sunday.
Yes.
So this year, the biggest decision will be on the event director because it's a tricky point because of all these borders, forbidden borders, very close. But the 3-day slot, if I make a parallel, I can think it's the same case like in the American Challenge 2 years ago. On the Saturday evening was possible, but it was a short flight and going to the thunderstorm. And all over US, making a flight of 400 kilometers for the competitors would not have been very fun.
Yeah.
On the Sunday evening, it was very windy. And then the event director, Sam Park, said, there is a nice window on Sunday evening. You can cross all the US to Canada. So he postponed the flight twice. And then the takeoff had been made on the Monday evening, where we could fly more than 2,000 kilometers. And that was a very, very clever and interesting decision for the sports point of view and for the competitors, because we could all compete for 50 hours. Yeah. So the 3-day slot is really a good new thing since a few years in the rule book. Because, yeah, a long time ago, the rule said you take off on this day, that's it.
Right.
You're a bit stuck.
Yes.
If there is a bad window.
So now it really comes into its own with this year, with Turin and Poland being so north. It's really going to be one to watch. That's going to be one of the big, interesting stories right at the very beginning.
Yeah, and the other point regarding the strategy is that you may have some waiting strategy with some altitude with low winds or high altitude with stronger wind. So you may sometimes have 2 options or even 3, but most of the time it's 1 or 2 options. And then with 2 options, then that can allow to go away from Torun in good direction for the competitive point of view.
Good stuff. Eric, fantastic information. Thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and we are the 21st of June, so normally in 2 months' time, we should be on flight.
Yes. I hope to see you there, my friend.
See you there, friend.
Take care, Eric.
Bye-bye, Regan.
Bye-bye, thank you.